Hello, it's November 19th, and I woke up this morning to news that 6 ATACMs missiles from Kyiv had been launched into Russia. This is pursuant to the announcement that we have still yet to hear from any official channel in Washington, D.C., but the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and now the EU Commissioner Josep Borrell have assured us that President Biden has given a green light for Ukraine to use American-made weapons to launch strikes deep into Russia. Now, Congressman Thomas Massie raised the question of impeachment because, as everyone knows, and as Putin has stated very clearly, Ukraine does not have the capability of deploying these missiles. They don't have the guidance systems, that these missiles can only be launched by Americans. So if Biden wanted to change the policy, which officially, in effect, puts the United States in a war with a nuclear superpower, Russia, he would be obligated to go to the Congress to get a declaration of war. And the current Congress is such a mess, he might even get it. I don't know. But he didn't do that, but in effect did launch a war against Russia with this action. Now, 5 of the 6 ATACMs were intercepted and did not strike their target. The 6th one was apparently damaged. The ATACMs missiles, we were told by our spokesperson, Sabrina Singh at the Department of Defense, are very expensive. They won't reveal how many we have. Did we use them all up? We don't know. We do know that on January 20th, a new president is going to be inaugurated, Donald Trump, who said he would end this war. We also know that Joe Biden just went to Peru, accompanied by 600 troops for the APEC meeting, where China has just, in partnership with Peru, completed a beautiful new modern port at Shanghai. And the U.S. has nothing to offer except 600 troops accompanying our president while he wags his finger at them, telling them what to do. And then when he went to Brazil, no one wanted to be seen in a photograph with him, although Biden is supposedly having a working lunch with Brazilian President Lula da Silva today. Now, back on Russia, this is obviously extremely dangerous. The new nuclear security doctrine that Putin announced on September 12th, which then caused Joe Biden to not give the green light when Keir Starmer came to visit on September 14th. So we might ask what's changed and did he really make this decision? But the new Russian doctrine, which is now in writing and signed by President Putin, says that if Russia is attacked by a non-nuclear power, i.e. Ukraine, backed by a nuclear power, i.e. the United States, that Russia will see this as a joint attack and reserves the right to a nuclear response. This is what we are playing with. And fools in the West say, oh, well, Putin is only bluffing. We have the spectacle. I just have to read this because it's so unbelievably absurd. The UN Security Council, for the moment, the UK is the head of it. They have rotating leadership. They held a special meeting yesterday, and in fact, the British Foreign Secretary David Lammy came to deliver his remarks in person, insisting that Russia be condemned for its 1,000 days of aggression in Ukraine. And he further went on to say, unless Putin fails, we could plunge into a world where the principles enshrined in the UN Charter will have lost their meaning. Unless Putin fails, others will be inspired to wage imperialist wars of conquest. Really? What about Israel's genocide in Gaza before the eyes of the world and the insistence of the United States vetoing every resolution until recently for a ceasefire, or the fact that Biden went over, wagged his finger and said, you have 30 days to allow food in to starving people in Gaza to prevent 400,000 people from starving to death. And did Israel let the food in? No. Are they suffering any consequence? No. So, who is undermining the UN Charter? Russia has been exceedingly clear about what they are doing, their intentions, their red lines. The United States and the British overthrew the government of Ukraine and brought in a neo Nazi faction, which began killing Russian speaking people who wanted their independence. And then they did a charade pretending that they were going to give the Donbass special status and allow them to speak Russian while they killed 14,000 people. And President Putin said in December of 2021, I need an assurance that Ukraine will not have nuclear weapons. They will not join NATO. And I have to tell you that I will not stand by and allow ethnic cleansing of the Russian population in the Donbass. And instead of listening to what Putin was saying, Biden and the leaders of NATO took it as a roadmap as to how they could provoke Russia into a war, supposedly to destroy Russia. But now the Germans are admitting that the Russian wartime economy is 4 times stronger than the whole economy of Europe. So that hasn't really worked. And the American people have rejected Dick and Liz Cheney and their war machine in the form of Kamala Harris and voted for Donald Trump because they hope that he will bring an end to this crisis, which could lead to the annihilation of everyone on the planet. So we are in a moment of extreme danger. The West is clearly delusional. I mean, totally delusional. I told you about the UN. There's also just been a joint declaration by the foreign ministers of Germany, France, Poland, Italy, and Spain, and the British, of course, in Warsaw, Poland, where they have denounced Russia for disrupting the world. Never mind the genocide in Gaza. Never mind the United States has, 800 to 1,000 military bases all over the planet. And they are saying that Putin is Russia's reckless revisionism and constant refusal to stop the aggression. They had a chance to stop it in March of 2022, and Boris Johnson flew over there on his jet to make sure those Ukrainians would fight until the very last one of them is dead, a point we are approaching rapidly as figures are over 600,000 young men in Ukraine have been killed. I spoke with someone from there who told me they're now kidnapping any male between the age of 18 and 60, sending them to the front lines, and that they last for about 4 hours. That's the policy of the West. It is sick. Biden must be removed. There should be a congressional inquiry as to who actually made this policy, because it's not even clear. It should be stopped immediately. Perhaps reality will step in and we will run out of weapons. But the American people, it should be very clear to you that you cannot sit back and relax. We have to organize, and you should call your congressman and say, stop this idiocy. No long-range missiles should be allowed to be fired or fired by America into Russia using Ukraine as a proxy. We don't need a war with Russia. We need talks. We need to end that, and we should stop arming Israel as well while we're at it.